On the night that Martin Luther King was assassinated, we were in concert with the Atlanta Chamber Chorus, and it was quite a moment. The program that night included the Stravinsky Symphony of Psalms. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that piece, but we learned the news just before we were about to sing that piece, and we did it and dedicated it to Dr. King, and it was quite a moment. Later, Coretta Scott King, Dr. King's wife, asked me to sing at the funeral because I had sung for several occasions when Dr. King came to Morehouse when I was a student there. And one of the songs that we did that day and that I sang the solo on was Balm in Gilead. And I want to sing that for you now. There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the sin-sick soul. Sometimes I feel discouraged and think my work's in vain. But then the Holy Spirit revives my soul again. There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the sin-sick soul. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot preach like Paul, you can tell the love of Jesus and say he died for all. There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the sin-sick soul. I was born a poor white child No, that was Steve Martin. That was the opposite one. Anyway, I was born in Savannah, Georgia, and I grew up in a Baptist church. My dad was a lay preacher. He didn't go into the ministry because my mom said, I didn't marry a preacher, and I don't want one now. Inside joke in the family. Anyway, so my dad would speak at different occasions, and I'd go with him to a lot of those, and it's very inspiring. So I learned about the Lord at a very early age, grew up in the Baptist church, and when I got to college, I got introduced to the African Methodist Episcopal denomination, and I was a soloist at Allen Temple AME Church in Atlanta, Georgia. When I got to graduate school, Eastman School of Music in Rochester, New York, I became involved with the Central Presbyterian Church and was a soloist there for a number of years. While on the side, I would sing the High Holy Days at Temple Bethel in Rochester. When I moved from Rochester to Nashville, I became involved with St. Henry's Catholic Church as a soloist and the Belmead United Methodist Church as a soloist in their choir, while at the same time going to an independent Pentecostal church early in the morning to sing there. After I left Nashville and moved to California, I was music director for Hal Lindsey at his church. I don't know if you know that name. He wrote a book called The Great Planet Earth and a number of other things. Anyway, he had a small church in Torrance, California, and I was music director there. And from there, I went to Church on the Way in Van Nuys, California, where Jack Hayford was the senior minister, part of the Four Square denomination. Today, I'm at First United Methodist Church. I am a mongrel of the highest order. So anything you want me to be, I can be. But all along the way, one thing remained true. I heard the story of Jesus. I left that story when I went to college. I sought out all sorts of things to try to come up with some answers to what I thought wasn't being answered by my church or by my life experience. And it all ended in one event with a guy named Alan Moore in Nashville, Tennessee. I'll tell you about one other guy real quick. His name is Chew, short for Charles. He was a jazz sax player, keyboard player, singer, amazing, amazing guy. He was Italian, and he had really crinkly hair that sort of looked like this. Had a cut, real huge hair, big hair. You know? And he had a beard that covered 3/4 of his face, and the hair and the beard. So you can see these little eyes, you know, sticking out. He was a brilliant, brilliant musician. And we were playing at a club in Jamestown, New York, and he would pick me up to take me to the gig or I'd pick him up, rather, take him to the gig on the weekends. And at that time, because I didn't know the Lord, really, in my heart, I mean, I knew of the Lord, but didn't know him in my heart, I had a kind of a potty mouth. It wasn't a complete potty mouth, but I would just say things, you know, just that weren't really expedient. So we were in the car. It just picked him up. We were in the car, and we were talking about something, and I was throwing GDs here and there and the other. And this guy used to talk by stroking his beard. You know, kind of stroked his beard as he talked, and he said, "Joe, man, you shouldn't call God the damner, man. He's not your dammer, he's your lover." I never even thought about that. I didn't even thought about what I was saying. But it hit me like a ton of bricks. That was back in mid-70s. April 5th, 1977, I was at a friend's house in Nashville, Tennessee. His name is Alan Moore. Sitting on his basement floor and listening to a song by Andre Crouch. A song by Ken Helser called Feed My Sheep. And Alan had gone upstairs to do something, left me alone downstairs with the song. He knew what he was doing, or at least God did.